Hey everyone, welcome to another one of totally weekly Alicization Q&A sessions. This one is pretty much very late at this point. You know the reasoning, I shared this quite a lot of times on my episode 24 explained, on my social media accounts, etc. So I won't bother you with those. But I finally have the chance to, take your questions and answer them based on episode 24 and some more general stuff. So this should be the beginning. We'll have normal questions, we have one opinion question if I'm not mistaken, and spoiler questions will come after I initiate the spoiler warning. Without further ado, let's begin. First off, why is Asuna still on Ocean Turtle? Wasn't she supposed to have left already, or has there just been so little time passed in real life? Yes, very little amounts of time have actually passed on Ocean Turtle back in real life. Let me just grab it right from the novels. Asuna has arrived on the 5th of July 2026, which is a Sunday. She was supposed to stay there for 3 days and leave on the 7th after managing to have one little chat with Kazuto, who was assumed to have healed enough by that time. The attack happens on the 6th of July, one day after Asuna has arrived. So yes, barely any time has passed in real life. Asuna was more or less supposed to return the next day on the 7th, but she could not yet due to the attack. Next question. If Quinella didn't know there were dual blade sword skills when Kirito used crossblock, does that mean that although entirely different worlds, the Underworld is like Alfheim Online and only has the non-unique sword skills? That's exactly what I hinted at in my episode 24 explained video. This world only has the basic sword skills because according to Kirito's assumption at the very least, these were imported from Alfheim Online. Kirito doesn't know how that happened because that would be, industrial espionage or something at that point, just stealing those skills from somewhere else. So Kirito is not entirely sure how that happened, but that is the case. And that also means the skills arrived from Alfheim Online exist, while skills that do not exist in Alfheim Online simply do not exist in the world, and thus Quinella had no clue about any kind of dual blade skills. The way Kirito used the dual blade skills was incarnation, essentially recreating those skills with the effects of incarnation on his own. Not really using the system resources, but using his memory and, all the incarnation stuff. I went deeper into incarnation, how it works exactly in other videos, you can check those, but essentially that is how it happened. Next question, did the clown go inside of Quinella? No, he did not. He was just a ball of fire that engulfed Quinella and essentially drained last of her HP. Is the Night Sky Sword as strong as or has the same object authority as Blue Rose Sword or just a bit lower than it? I do believe we should have seen both of their Stacia windows in the anime, but I'll just go back to the light novels because it's so much easier. The Blue Rose Sword has an object authority of class 45, the Night Sky Sword has an object authority of class 46. So yes, technically speaking, Night Sky Sword is more capable than the Blue Rose Sword itself. Again, an extension question would be the Osmanthus Blade or Fragrant Olive Sword, depending on which translation you're following. We do not know the priority rating of Ellis' sword in any way, shape or form. Maybe we'll get to see it if the anime adapts a Stacia window from the sword in the second half of the anime, but for now nothing is confirmed, whether it's more powerful than the others, whether it's less powerful than the others. I doubt if it was less powerful, but still we do not know the object class of the Fragrant Olive Sword. Next question, are the 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th light novels going to take up the 3rd and 4th core? Yes they will. So we'll definitely have a more drawn out, I don't want to say drawn out because things would have been a whole lot better if things were adapted slowly in the first half, so drawn out feels more negative in that kind of way. But yes, we're gonna have more episodes per volume unless what was reported was false and we'll get, the Moon Cradle side stories at the end somewhere. I doubt that will happen. So yes, more episodes per volume for the second half of Alicization. I know there was an episode about Yu-Gi-Oh learning and saying stay cool, but is there any other resemblance or symbol that the phrase stay cool represents? No, there is not. That phrase solely exists at that point because Kirito accidentally used it in Underworld as an outside term and tried to twist it around for Yu-Gi-Oh to not get suspicious and said, you know, it's something you just say for a real farewell. And that's exactly what happened. That was a very specific callback to that singular moment alone. It had no other meaning. Okay, so we have 3 questions here. Let's go one by one. Is the blade of the Night Sky Sword transformed into a metallic object? No, because the way Night Sky Sword was created, the branch of the tree was specifically given to Sadore the craftsman. He's not a blacksmith, he does not transform materials, he literally crafted the sword from the basic, branch. So it is still a very much wooden object, it's not a metallic object. If not, how can it go up against swords made from metallic objects? The durability of a metallic object and a wooden object is different, although they are from the same priority level. Let me put it this way. Giga Cedar was a very special type of wood. What kind of wood you use for a sword really makes a huge difference. If you just make from a regular tree that had a priority rating of 5 or 6, then the sword that results from it will be equally low priority. However, Giga Cedar was I don't want to say divine object, but like a godly being. That means divine object, but you get what I mean. It was put there by the system as an nigh indestructible entity to stop the growth of cities. There are plenty of them in the world, and Giga Cedar was one of those. It has a very high object rating, so when you actually turn it into a sword, it retains that high object rating and that kind of power. The transformation still happens. If you check the Stasia window of the Giga Cedar, it's an object tree, and if you check the Stasia window of the Night Sky Sword, it's an object sword. So a certain type of transformation happens, but no transformation in terms of materials. It's just a system classification. You can think that bit more in regards to the game fundamentals that Underworld has, thanks to the seed package, but yeah, that's pretty much it. The Night Sky Sword was made from a part of the Giga Cedar, and we can clearly see that Kirito cut down the part with one swing using the Blue Rose Sword, but how can the Night Sky Sword is created it outranks the Blue Rose in terms of the priority class? That's exactly what I tried to explain in the second question as well. The transformation from an object tree to an object sword happens, and that changes the game fundamentals, the metrics of the object in a very specific way. So things interact. The Blue Rose Sword interacts differently if it was cutting down the Giga Cedar, the object tree, and it reacts differently when it's trying to cut down the object sword, that is the Night Sky Sword. Hope that explains the question. It's literally just the game aspect of Underworld and nothing more. You can't apply that direct logic there because while it is made from one object into another, it's a different object from every kind of possible perspective from that game fundamental level. Next question, and we move on to the one opinion question here. Do you think that the director of Sword Art Online Aincrad should come back and lead the War of Underworld, taking into account that the battles he delivered in Season 1 of Sword Art Online were more exciting than the battles that Alicization's director leads? The director there won't make much of a difference. First off, let me clarify something. The way people look at the Aincrad battles are very nostalgic, let me put it that way. They are never grand as people make them out to be. They are pretty short, and there are way too many dialogues in between the battles back in Aincrad as well, that, if you only take the action scenes, the action does not take very long as people make it out to be. Secondly, the battles in Alicization are designed as a more grounded spectacle, it's not the fantasy MMORPG, it's a simulation more or less. So naturally you get, I don't want to say shorter fights, but slightly shorter fights with different structure there. So a director change there won't make any difference because the battles are structured a specific way in the first place. But of course, War of Underworld is more grand in scale, so we will have to wait and see as to how the anime staff actually approach this challenge. Secondly, knowing that the director's chances are nil, do you think the War of Underworld battles will be better, like Kirito vs Goblins, than the battles of the 5 last episodes of Alicization before mid-season break. As I said, the battle approaches in War of Underworld is much more different. As I said, the first half of Alicization is much more personal. We see an immense amount of duels, we barely see any actual quote-unquote battles. Pretty much every single sword fight comes down to 1-to-1 duels, maybe 1-to-2 duels. In War of Underworld, it's literally a war, so we're gonna have a whole lot of fight scenes in that grand spectacle fashion that apparently many people want to see, but yeah, definitely we'll see more of them, you shouldn't worry about those. But this is where I initiate the spoiler warning, so consider this your spoiler warning. We're moving on to the spoiler questions. This is your last chance to leave. Please do leave a like if you're leaving. And yeah, my giveaway is still going. Check my giveaway link in the description. And spoiler questions, here we come. If we get more of Eldri and Berkuli, will they be joining the fight against the upcoming war? Yes, you will see a whole lot more from every single Integrity Knight that you have met so far, as well as some additional Integrity Knights that you have never seen before. Second spoiler question, if both the attackers and the Wrath are after the true AI, would Yu-Gi-Oh suffice as well, since he broke the seal as well, or any Underworld resident broke the seal? Why Ellis is that special? Now that's a multi-layered question and it is quite convoluted, so let me try to summarize it as concisely as possible. First off, the reason why Ellis is special is due to a major misunderstanding in Wrath's staff. The main reason why Wrath's staff even got interested in Ellis is because they thought she intentionally broke a rule which she had not as a kid. She accidentally broke the rule, which was not what Wrath was really looking for. They were looking for someone that broke that mental barrier, the right eye seal as we know within Underworld, but the right eye seal is not something the Wrath employees are actually aware of that is blocking the citizens. So essentially the kid Ellis was not really the quote-unquote true AI they were looking for. Yu-Gi-Oh, now he is a true AI that they would be looking for because he broke the seal. Ellis Synthesis 30 would be a true AI that they would be looking for. This information got out of Wrath, the initial information of the kid Ellis, breaking a rule unintentionally, but they do not know that. This information leaked out, and the person you see, Subtilizer, has learned about these and also tied things with his own past, a childhood friend in the name of Alicia, if I remember correctly. That you'll get to see more of in the first episode of the second half, so I won't go too deep into that for now. That makes the situation much more relatable for Subtilizer. He's a total psycho, he has his reasons for being obsessed about Alice, but that's essentially your answer. If you want me to elaborate, you can ask down below further questions. Will Kirito die? No. I have an entire video as to what happened to Kirito and what the implications of what happened is. I am not gonna give you full direct spoilers as to what happens, etc. But yeah, you can check my what happened to Kirito video there to have more information on what has actually happened to him, he got struck by a white light, what the fuck, is Asuna there, etc. Those questions I am answering there in that little 5-minute video, you can check that. 2 questions. Why is Klein's head in the background of the episode 24 explained thumbnail? As soon as I saw it, I couldn't help but to laugh. That's actually a subtle reference I used multiple times in my thumbnails. It's a reference to a future picture that I really love. From the latter points of Alicization War of Underworld. It's just a neat reference, it shouldn't mean anything to you guys, maybe it's funny, etc. for those who do not know. But it's one of the pictures that I really love from the light novels. It's an amazing picture, it's mainly a reference to that. Secondly, since the next arc will be called War of Underworld, does that mean that this so-called war has a double meaning, as in outside of Underworld where the Ocean Turtle got invaded, and inside Underworld where the Human Empire and Dark Territory will have the war? Well, that's kind of a personal interpretation. If you were to ask me, which you have, I would say there is no double meaning, there is no real war going on in the real life side of things. It's more of an invasion and protecting your side, because both sides are literally not in a position to make a push towards the other side. They're literally at a standstill, and the war is happening inside Underworld. There is barely any fights going on in real life. But that was it. That was the final question. Hope you guys enjoyed this very belated episode 24 Alicization Q&A session. Again, from here on out, I will be specifically focusing on the mid-season break special SAO explained videos, and I hope you guys will enjoy those as well. Some of them will be spoilery, which I will warn you about at the beginning of the video. There won't be spoilers in the thumbnails or titles like some other creators. Some of them will be focusing on the past of SAO, responses to certain criticism, how they are not entirely correct, how there is more information that fills those blanks, etc., as well as some other stories that have not been adapted into the anime, which I'm pretty sure you guys will really enjoy. But until then, stay cool and don't forget to like the video. Take care.